Hello and welcome to Down the Slope. We're back. There's just the three of us. The three of us being Specky and Greg. Harry, how you doing?
Mate, I'm pretty buzzing after yesterday, to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
still riding the high.
Good. Greg, how you doing? Good to at least feel good at the end of a rather drab 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, I look at ultimately the 95th minute was enjoyable, but I'm sure we'll come on to talk about everything else that went on in the game.
Aye. Right. Let's not arse about too much. If you want to get your content of nice hair and stuff, I believe Liam's on Old Firm Facts podcast at some point this week. I think it's scheduled to be out on Wednesday. We've just loaned him away for a week.
But just to say, like, I think we can coin him as a friend of the podcast, which is pretty cool to say, because he's obviously the big dog in Scottish football.
That's very true. Right, pre-game Derby build up. Not we weren't really too sure what to expect lineup wise. Probably not too sure what to expect from Hearts either. Harry, you tweeted on Saturday, on the podcast page about who was going to be the star man because Boyle had signed, but we didn't think he was going to be available. No, we'll try and work through this chronologically. So, just how surprised were we all to see Boyle on the bench?
Because we were concerned because obviously 77 was a random number. So Mikey, who I go to the games with, he thought that Boyle might have been like a youth player that had just been popped on the bench because there was a spare slot. And obviously Johnson quite likes these youngsters. So we were just dead worried that it was going to be some young boy getting abused because he wasn't Martin Boyle. That was the initial reaction for us.
A reaction of shock, to be fair. I wasn't expecting them to be playing or involved in the squad. I just expect them to be unveiled before kickoff, as Hibs said. But look, it all worked out very well in the end.
Aye, right. Aye.
What was your thoughts?
Nearly crashed the car, mate. No, no. I was just a surprise. It was. I don't know. It was. It was just a surprise. Like you, I just don't think anyone expected it. Actually, seeing Greg outside the West Stand before we went in, and I think we both agreed that in an ideal world we wouldn't have seen him on the pitch yesterday, unless it was like a 5-minute cameo. I personally had reservations about just his fitness, so I was worried that if he came on and in a game at that pace as well, not even factoring in the fact that Hearts would want to smash him, just that pace, having not played in a game, like I've not kicked a ball since June. The speed he operates at, the sort of frenzy of the game, I was just scared he was going to pull a hammy or something and would be without him before he even came back. But no, it definitely gave everyone a buzz. It gave everyone a buzz in the stadium with it being.
I said to Euan, like, we can't expect too much too early because he needs to get back up to speed, which shows how much I know. Clearly clueless.
I think what it did do was gave everyone in the stadium a buzz, and I think as well it probably made Hearts fans a little bit wary as well, because whether they want to say shiver me timbers about Martin Boyle or what's like that Martin Boyle is a bang average winger, yet they're wanking themselves silly over Alan Forrest. Like it's who by the way is a good player, but Martin Boyle is much better than Alan Forrest. They've proved that over the last multiple years. But yeah, it gave everyone a boost. I think with it being such an early kickoff, I know myself and Greg were in the ground a lot earlier than what we would usually be. There was that sense of almost anticipation sort of when the players came out to warm up. And yeah, I think it gave, not that anyone should need a lift before a derby game, but I think it definitely gave it. I think sometimes the early kickoffs can be really flat, and it sort of made sure that didn't happen. But on to the game. I thought Hibs started well, actually better than what I thought. Even just like I thought, the very very start of the game, we moved the ball about quite well. I think like they played a ball over the top and Rocky sort of fied it back to Marshall, and it was just a nice wee pass and move to get out up the line. And I thought that sort of settled us really quickly into the game, and I thought we moved it well. Harry, how did what did you make of Hibs' sort of initial 10, 15 minutes and settling into the game? And I know we've not spoke about the team there, so if there's anyone in particular that you want to highlight.
I think in terms of the first 15 minutes, I thought we settled into the game really well. I think we completely dominated the open exchanges of the game. I think Hearts really struggled to get anything going. I think that clearly they've been watching a lot of film on Hearts because it seemed to be getting the ball over the top of the fullbacks was working. It worked a few times, and then obviously we'll come on to it later in the half, but we made quite a few good chances, just kind of exploiting that space in behind. Their centre backs are pretty pish. Halkett is an absolute fraud who can't thrive outside of a back three, and that got exposed. And we'll talk about a certain 95th minute in which it got heavily exposed how poor he is. But yeah, no. Overall, if the intensity we started the game with is exactly what I'd expect in a derby, I think that Noan Kenna, especially, I think he put himself about really well. There's about 2 or 3 crunching tackles before the Hearts players even had the chance to breathe. So yeah, I was happy. In terms of the team lineup, the main shock, aside from Boyle being on the bench, I don't think many people expected Josh Campbell to start, especially because he's looked good kind of being in those full back positions for Hibs so far in the pre-season. But Josh Campbell in centre mid is something that I've not been a fan of. I thought he didn't play poorly yesterday, but if we got beat and we didn't score that last minute equaliser, then every single fan would have been like, why has Johnson started Campbell? And the whole blame would have been put on him. So yeah, I'm glad that we got our wee moment at the end and we didn't get any blame.
Greg, obviously for the second game in a row, we've seen Euan up top on his own. I thought in that first 10, 15 minutes, he probably touched the ball more than he did in Johnson in the 90 minutes. And the first sort of real half chance of the game came from him peeling out wide and just being really direct and getting towards the sort of corner of the 6-yard box. That we spoke about that last week, potentially getting at Hearts down the sides over the top, and that chance came from that. Were you then a bit frustrated after that we sort of stopped doing that for a period of the game?
I was incredibly frustrated that Euan's up there on his own and we seemed to be very slow in getting forward from the midfield. There wasn't a lot of support. Look, I think he can create his own chances. We've seen that he has a handful. He can create his own chances, but we do need the support from midfield from the likes of Henderson, who I thought was pretty anonymous yesterday. But look, Euan's a handful. He was unpredictable yesterday because he was moving out wide and he was trying to drift out and pull them out slightly. But we do need more support to him. There's no doubt about that. But he's definitely a threat, and I was impressed with him again because he was, a physical Hearts can be, and he was more than matching them up top.
Yeah, obviously, you mentioned Henderson there, and the sort of byproduct of Jair not being available was that Euan Henderson was out on the left. I think my concerns have been that I think Henderson is a much better player in the middle of the park when he can get on the ball a lot easier. And I think we've probably seen that yesterday. I think out on the left-hand side, he just really didn't influence the game at all. Chibraha, I think him and Chibraha it didn't really work, did it, on the left?
Which is strange because I thought when Henderson was peeling out to the left last week, I thought he was really dangerous and he was, gliding past players and creating chances, getting to the byline. So, it's just one of the games. It wasn't his best game, but I don't think we should care him too much.
I think that's ridiculous, to be honest, Greg. I thought he was shocking. He should be caned for it, to be honest.
Okay, well, I definitely don't, Harry, to be honest. I think you're miles off it there, son. Because when we did get the ball in, he did try and create things, although it wasn't coming off. He was trying to do the right things. And just on the point that Harry made about Campbell, I actually thought Campbell was decent yesterday. I think he's definitely the one player that gets a lot of criticism every week. But I actually thought he put himself about quite well yesterday. He had a couple of poor touches on the ball, but I thought in the whole he was actually all right. And he done well to set up a good crossing chance that Cadden put in the box, but unfortunately wasn't the first time in the afternoon we didn't get on the end of it a good ball in the box, and I'm sure we'll come on to talk about that, but that was incredibly frustrating yesterday. There was certainly a couple of players at fault for
that. Just to expand on what I said about Henderson, because obviously I've been a massive plod of his so far. I think that the lack of physicality that he has got massively exposed yesterday. He just wasn't. There was a point in the first half where he absolutely shot out a 50-50, and then Cabrera went in and absolutely mauled the boy. And I understand, like, he's not the type of player that we're expecting to be combative, but in a derby, you need to be able to put everything on the line. And I think that there was just times where he was literally getting brushed and breezed off the ball, and it was frustrating. It was by far, in my opinion, his worst performance in a Hibs shirt. He just didn't look at it at all. I think second half, there was one moment in the second half that he drove forward pretty well, but apart from that, I just thought nothing was clicking for him at all, and I was just pretty much really disappointed because I think that most of the fan base was expecting big things out of him.
Yeah, I'd certainly pinned my sort of hopes for the game on Joe Newell's and Euan Henderson's shoulders. Two players that, I think specifically you guys in the group chat and stuff with, it's like text fly about during the day and stuff. I think you guys were definitely disappointed in they two. Harry more so on the Henderson side, and probably both in agreement on Newell. I thought Joe Newell had a really I thought he was probably in the first 10-15 minutes one of our best players. I thought, because he was getting on the ball, he was playing the right passes. I think he might have set up that Euan chance, or there was another one that he done similar with. I think Cabrera played one and he played one. I can't remember exactly which one it was. It might have been Cabrera for the chance, I think, because that was a corner, a counter, I think. But there was a similar.
He had a chance in the first half that he should be at least hitting the target with as well.
Yes, which obviously came after
right
Hart's
foot or
goal.
no, I'm not really bothered, but you should be working the keeper fair we get in the box.
Yeah.
Everything he was doing well last week against St Johnstone, he wasn't doing this week,
yeah.
which is incredibly frustrating. And there's really no need for it because Kenna's still sitting there. He's still the anchor and should be allowing Joe Newell to drive forward.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll come on to the positional sense and Noah and Kenna shortly.
Well, so by that probably look, I think Hibs did start the game the first 10-15 minutes really well, moving it well. Only really that one chance. I thought Hearts then got on top a little bit.
So I just wanted to say before we moved on from Joe Newell slander, because I wanted to get my 2 cents in. I thought that he actually picked it up. See the second half when he played it through to Cabrera, like that ball there. I think he kind of got momentum off that and played pretty well second half. But one quick thing, he needs to stop taking corners. Not a single corner hit a Hibs man yesterday, and it was like Henderson's corners were all right, but Newell's corners were terrible.
I can't make my mind up with this though, because one of them was floated into Gordon's hands, but one of them comes in at pace and it's flat. Someone's got to get across the front post, and it's also difficult to tell because it's just how do you interpret a situation. See when the corner takers thrown up their hands like after they've hit it. Is that to try and hide the fact they've hit a bad corner, or is it because when they do all their fucking hands up at the start to signal where they want folk, they've put it where they want it and nobody's getting there? Like,
I made the point last week where I think Cabrera put a few crossing against St Johnstone, and a lot of them, well, some of them went to the goalie. But the difference between a good cross and a bad cross is who's on the end of it. There should be a front post runner there. Craig Gordon's not at the front post. You should have a front post runner, even to flick it on, or try and have an effort at goal. But the fact that nobody's running the front post is an absolute shambles, because otherwise the corner's going to have to go deep.
Yeah, I think if a goalkeeper's collecting a ball at, say, head height in the middle of his goal, that doesn't say to me it's a bad cross.
No.
Because it's no, if it's one of them where the keeper's able to take a couple of steps and fucking pluck it, then because it's floated, it's shite, and even if someone wins it, they're going to have to do a lot with the header to then beat the goalkeeper. But look, right, then to be honest, I thought Hearts came into the game after the opening 10-15 minutes. I can't remember exactly what minute the goal was scored on.
22nd, I think.
But they definitely had a sort of spell in the lead up to it. They'd had a few corners. I think Shankland had a shot that Rocky done quite well to sort of square up to him and get the deflection on, and it went over. Greg, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Right, the first thing I'm going to say is whether it's handball or not, what he does after that it's a good finish. But
I think
it is, to be honest. What leads up to it, Hibs was a bit of a mess, wasn't it?
Barry Mackay floats inside and plays a no-look pass.
Even before that, Rocky goes far too tight.
I mean,
with Shankland,
I think it starts when Rocky just shunts the ball up the park, and it just comes back to us. Barry Mackay plays a no-look pass through. No antennas.
Porches in no man land.
A different dimension by the looks of things. Watching the freeze frame on Sportsref from when Shankland controls it, he's looking at the other way. Not close enough, not tight enough, not the right side. If there's a shite goal to lose, Hibs will concede it. It's so basic. A ball over the top should be defended, no problem. Especially one like that where he's not even looking where it's gone. He's just playing it over the top and hoping.
I think from a Hearts perspective, it's a great goal, isn't it? If Hibs scored that,
absolutely.
The striker holds it up. He finds his wide man, and gets him behind. But
from a defensive point of view, you really need to be doing better there. But I don't know. I felt defensively yesterday we were poor all round. In certain aspects, I thought we left ourselves far too wide open at times. But yeah, look, Shankland's done well with the finish. For me, I don't think it's a handball because
it's
I think it would be.
For those on YouTube, it's about here-ish, maybe.
It hit his, like in between.
It was pretty much bicep,
just under his shoulder. I don't know what VAR would do.
I don't even know what the rule is now. I don't even fucking know what. Is it a
t-shirt line? Actually, I think the new rule is t-shirt line. So if it is, then it would have been given. But look, it is a good finish. To be fair, he's taken it down well, and he's ultimately he's done well. But a very, very disappointing goal to concede. Very disappointing.
For me,
Harry, you're going to cast a vote on if it's a handball or not.
I think that if I was the referee, I wouldn't have given a handball, but I reckon if we had VAR, it would have been ruled out. And if it was the other way around, I'd have been incredibly salty at it being ruled out. It would have been one of those stupid ones with the dots on the screen that just shouldn't determine anything in football. I can understand why fans are saying it's a handball, because if you can see a goal, you want to claim that you've been...
It's about the only thing I'm giving John Beaton a buy on for yesterday.
We'll come on to him at the end, mate. I think we can talk about him for about 10 minutes. But on the defending, I think the main thing that concerned me was the fact that there wasn't runners pulling the players out of position. It was the players making erratic choices that put them out of position, and that's the key cause for concern. Because Rocky, you shouldn't be trying to man mark someone at the halfway line, which then puts Ken onto him. And because Rocky shifted over, for some reason, Porches has decided that he's the right centre back.
But the movie makes he's covering one. He's covering.
So what Porches has done is Porches has tried to double up on Mackay, but he's left centre back. So why is he trying to double up on their left winger? And then if you look at the thing that concerns me, after Chabraya tries to clear the ball, there's two Hearts players there. If he somehow gets that red, it's 100% a goal. It's nothing to do with Marshall, nothing to do with Chabraya. I feel bad for Kenna because he's not. He's looked at the exact wrong time and it's given Shankland an extra step on him, but it's just unfortunate timing for him. And plus, he shouldn't be marking their striker. That's not how the formation works. So all around, that was just an absolute shambles. As you say, fair play to them. Well, not fair play to them. Fuck them, Hearts bastards. But a good goal nonetheless.
Yeah, I know. It is a good goal. And I'm sticking. I do think it's handball, but I think you've put it right, Harry. If Hibs had that goal disallowed, I'd be pissed off. So I think
if it was at Tynecastle, it would have been disallowed because we've had that many disallowed at Tynecastle for no reason. So why not add another one?
Right. From that moment, I don't think Hibs, and if it's something that we'll come on to with the late goal and stuff, I don't think yesterday was a case of something like last season where we totally panicked. I think it took us 5 minutes to get back sort of into the game, but it certainly wasn't we could concede another one or two here before half time. And I think again we started to get on top in the first half, and look, there was a good few chances that I can think of off the top of my head. Greg, you've mentioned one already. Cadden flashes a ball across the 6-yard box. I think that was at 1-0 down. It might have been at 0-0 when Melkerson or Henderson has to throw themselves at it. They have to, especially Henderson. It's a bit ahead of Melkerson, but I think Henderson can get on it. I do. Noan Kenna has a great chance. I don't know if he's deliberately tried to hook it back across goal or he's just got far too much on it. If that hits his stud, it probably goes in, but he gets full foot contact on it. And then Euan pulls out what at the time I thought was a wonder save for Craig Gordon. On reflection, probably it's a great instinct save, one that you'd expect the goalkeeper to make. But I think that shows Hibs we sort of got our foot back on the ball, and obviously Joe Newell's chance as well that you mentioned earlier. So we got our foot back on the ball and started creating again. But it was a bit reminiscent of last weekend, and it felt a little bit toothless at times still, didn't it?
I think we're really missing a bit of bite in the final third. And look, I definitely think it will come, but to allow yourself to have that time, you need to be improving week on week in the final third and the build-up play and the movement. I don't think we improved on last week at all.
You don't think we were better in the first half this week than we were last week?
It's difficult because we certainly played differently, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to get to the byline last week more. But yes, we were trying to flash things across, but I don't know. I think we do need to get a bit more chemistry up top. I think we're maybe still trying to figure out where players are going, work out patterns, but it will come. Like, you know, Euan's getting in the right positions. It's maybe just not coming off from. We're getting balls across. It's just we can't get that final touch, which is frustrating. But I think up until that point, we are looking okay. Maybe missing a wee bit of urgency about our play at times. But yes, especially in the second half, I felt we were just so laboured. We're almost playing like we were 3-0 up at some points where we just wouldn't get the ball moving.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be more intelligent, quick passing, move teams around, create space, create opportunities. But look, you know, ultimately we weren't at our best, but we still managed to make a mark on the game.
Yeah. Harry, what did you make of that period after of the last 20 minutes of the second half of the first half, if you like?
I think you got pretty spot on, to be honest. I think after the first 5 minutes or so, I don't think we panicked, but I don't think either team really got anything going. And I think that we got that chance. I think the Cadden chance was the first one. Was that the one that was a really nice play from Josh Campbell? Actually,
yes.
That was pretty good from him. Ball got kind of zipped into him, and then he managed to stretch his foot and like stamp it wide to Cadden. Those are the frustrating ones that like Shankland in the second half will come on to that, but. It looked like he could get anywhere near the ball, and then he just threw himself at it and pulled out a good save from Marshall. Someone should have minimum been pulling out a good save from Gordon. I said routine because I thought you meant the Euan chance where he hit near post. And I thought that was a great save. I thought that was a typical Craig Gordon and a Derby save, to be honest.
At the time, I thought, fuck, what a save. But just on reflection, I think still great. You know what I mean? He saved it.
I think the thing that makes it a great save is the fact that he manages to get it completely out of danger. I think it was slightly a fluke because I don't know how the ball managed to go out like the way it went for the way he saved it. But yeah, I think realistically that should have made it one each, and I think we were relatively unfortunate to be behind at halftime. I think on the basis of how the full first half, I think we were the better team. I don't understand the whole. That Goody save rat in their dugout saying that they dominated the full 90. I think it's just utter bollocks. He's a tube.
Aye. Well, we'll definitely come on to that. Aye, Greg, you were probably of the four of us least impressed at halftime, and I think it is fair to say that it was had we played the way we had in the first half and it was 0-0 or 1-1, I think we all would have been pretty happy, and it's easy at a derby to be like, fuck's sake. Yeah. And then
it's so involved in the emotion of it.
And then we're at halftime, I think we're all still like, I certainly said that at the time, I was like, the game's not over, you know, like the game's not dead.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, fucker, did I think after 5 minutes of the second half the game was dead.
Yeah.
What happened in that first 5 minutes? I mean, Hearts really should have they should have had at least one, you know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Chris Cadden's playing at. How far over he was. I think at their first move of the second half, he comes into centre half, wins the header, and then Barry Mackay's got hunters of room, postcodes out on the left. I have no idea what was going on. We looked all at sea. But we've got the goalie to thank for the double save to keep us in the game. And do you know what? People go on about, Craig Gordon makes good saves, but that was massive. That was crucial. And, you know, you see a goalie making two great saves like that, you're thinking, well, you know, we're still well in this. let's kick on. Let's look to create a wee bit of urgency, be a wee bit more aggressive. But it didn't really seem to happen. I felt like we were still too happy to knock about the back.
It was weird, wasn't it?
It was strange because at times you're thinking, well, look, there's the wide players, Gibraltar and Cadden out wide, why not shift out of them? But then Joe Newell was doing his usual and dropping deep and then passing it back the way and then try to play it out wide, but then it got played back in. It just lacked a little bit of sharpness about the passing. Obviously, I don't know what the plan was in the second half, but for me, it would have been to get the ball forward a lot quicker, even if you have to be that wee bit more direct.
Well, that was it. It felt like we were. Harry, I will get you in for this whole sort of start of the second half, but Lee Johnson spoke about it after the game as well, and it wasn't actually too dissimilar to what we spoke about last week, having watched Hearts on Sports Scene for 5 minutes last week. There was a very clear weakness down the sort of... Now, I know they changed their formation last week. The issue was sort of down the sides of their back three. And it felt like, especially on the left-hand side with Euan, when he was pulling out wide, that down the channels really was where we were getting our joy in the first half. And if anything, maybe we were guilty of going a little bit too long, a little bit too quickly. Someone like Joe Newell especially, there was an instance where Henderson was on to just feed him at the edge of the box, and he's tried to maybe from 30, 35 yards out,
he was just trying to dig it.
And it wasn't on. And then it was like in the second half that flipped. It was like we were a lot more patient, but it was like it was still working in the first half. We just had to do it with a little bit more effect or not do it every time. And then it was like in the second half, almost, we just stopped doing it. And it was really bizarre. But yeah, Harry, what's the start of the second half, and then we'll come on to the substitutes and stuff, because obviously one substitute it just re-energized the place, really.
And it wasn't Christian Deutsch.
Well, I was speaking to my mate who couldn't watch the game, and I was like, it was mad. After halftime, Cadden was down the wing and he lost the ball, and then a Hearts player took one touch, and next thing you know, they've got a 4v2 situation with Rocky and Poaches covering half of the pitch each. I'd never seen anything like it, because see, the thing is, it's the same as the goal. Like, fair enough, they're thinking that they're making great play in that. Like, we just completely lost the head, and then 3 times after that, they just put one pass through and they were through on goal. I've never seen a team collapse like it. If that's the way we're defending under Lee Johnson, it's going to be heart attack Hibs all over again. But I think a lack of concentration and a lack of comfort on the left side is really starting to hamper Poaches. I think that got exposed quite a few times yesterday. There was one in particular where the ball got played and it was pretty much straight at his foot, and it somehow bobbled over his foot. And then
it was shite yesterday, let's be honest.
I think Boyce cut it back, and then that was for the Rocky block. It was all those small moments though. And then obviously Marshall, like the sign of a good goalkeeper is when you've not really got too much to do, but when you do have got something to do, you make a good job at it. And I thought he was really good for that yesterday. But yeah, no, it was just mad. And then I was like literally screaming in the group chat, make a sub, because the team just completely lost all structure after halftime. But yeah, finally we made a sub, and I think everybody was glad that Christian Deutsch came on the pitch.
I mean, I know he didn't really influence the game. He did have a good chance, to be fair, that I think he was unlucky with. Obviously, I think it got deflected over the bar. We will come to that, but it was an obvious change for me. I think I said at half time I would have taken Campbell off for Deutsch. It wasn't necessary. At half time, I didn't think Campbell had been great, but I'll be honest, I was fixating on the point of one thing that he'd done wrong, as opposed to probably looking at multiple good things that he'd done in very similar situations. So I was all for Deutsch coming on, because I felt like in the first half what was missing was when Euan was drifting wide, Melkerson and Henderson weren't really getting themselves into that box, other than the one occasion when they did, and neither of them could be bothered their arse to get on Cadden's cross. When Deutsch came on, it's just no there for him now, is it? But I don't really. At one point, he got the ball, so he played into his feet, I think, just inside our half, and he's trying to turn in a flick. It's just like, that's never been his game in his time at Hibs. Really, he's never really been one to take it on the outside of his right foot and spin away. He's been one. His link-up play is normally pretty solid, like he'll bring it in and he'll get it to someone. And I'm not saying he's not capable of turning with the ball, but it was just a bit like, are you now trying to do things that aren't in your game because you're that low in confidence? That's what that just stunk of to me.
I think sorry, you go, Greg.
Sorry, Harry, on you go. I've got a different point to make.
No worries. My main two things was one, I think that his touch is completely gone. I think that's one thing that I've always kind of held quite well with Deutsch. I've always thought he's had quite a good touch, as you say. His hold up play kind of it just sticks to him, and then he finds a pass, runs away. As you say, we're not wanting him to get on the ball, swivel, and then skin 3 players and score. Like we want him to take no more than 3 touches. That's exactly him. And then Craig, who I was chatting today about the game, said that he just doesn't really jump anymore. Like when the ball's in the air, he just never times his jumps well. It's like watching Rocky at the back in pre-season. Like he's jumped before the ball's there, or he's just completely mistimed it. I don't understand. Like I'm hoping it's a confidence issue and it's something that like Johnson can just kind of snap him back into place. But I like Deutsch, and I've said that he can be a valuable player for us. But if he keeps up this form, then he's not got a place in the team.
It's hard to disagree with that.
My point is that see when Chibraja put the ball across the face, he actually turned around and told him to put his feet. Like,
to be fair,
I'm going to be
bad.
honest. There is no to be fair about it. That's a ball across the face. You should be flinging yourself like that.
You're right. You are right. But
it's genuinely not a bad ball.
No, see, like I didn't want to be. I think angles in the stand can. Chibraha had time to take a touch, and the ball cross for me was the right one. But he's fucking fizzed it. It needed a roll. Nobody was there. Nobody had the chance. He wasn't within throwing distance. He wasn't.
He's not quick enough to keep up with the ball in. Then is that what you're saying?
At the end of the day, Chibraha should be looking up. He's in a great position with time, and he just fucking lashes it across. Like
I wouldn't want him to take an extra touch there. I think you get it in ASAP.
It's just, if he's getting it in first time, then he needs to pull it back in that scenario.
Because for me, I was saying it looked like he wasn't far away. So
it just
is it a willingness to throw yourself at it? Does he know what to do it? Because I don't like he wanted to be on the pitch yesterday at all. To be fair, he really didn't. He really looks miles off it.
He doesn't
confidence in terms of even fitness. Doesn't even look that fit. He just looks like he's towing caravans constantly, which he comes on in the 54th minute. Like he's got 35 minutes to go make an impact in the game, and his first thing was try to turn the boy that the touch went about 6 yards away from him. So he's not the answer. So if I'm honest, I'd rather we brought on someone else.
Well, this is what I was going to say. We've seen Bojang came off the bench at Bonnydig. Done all right. I was unlucky not to score when he took it on the keeper. He came off the bench against Morton. Didn't influence the game too much, although was involved in the goal. I never seen the Norwich game, but we've not seen him in either game, and we've been chasing goals in both scenarios. And we've had a striker that we've brought in this summer sitting on the bench. It seems a bit bizarre to me, Harry. Like that, in that scenario, I'm not saying that Bojang should or shouldn't be on before Deutsch, but we didn't use all our subs last weekend. We didn't use all our subs this weekend, and you've got a new striker that's sitting getting splinters.
Is it possible to re-loan a player? Just at this point, it looks like Bojang's going on loan to like Wraith Rovers or something. Eh? Like it doesn't strike me as a player that's actually registered for the first team, just as you say with the way he's been treated. Like I think that Derby games are the best time to actually test someone, because if they run around like a headless chicken, don't do much, but they put their whole heart in the sleeve, the fans are going to be behind them because they've tried to make an impact on a Derby game. Like, that's the best time, especially if you're a young player. Like Melkison might not have had his best game, but if you see him at the goal and you see him trying to run around at everything, apart from throwing himself at that cross from Cadden, like I just think young players thrive in these situations if they're made for it. And if he has a stinker, then we just know he's not there for it.
Bojang seems like he's got a lot of energy about him. And right now,
and he's big as well. Even though the Hearts centre backs are big, like they didn't like dealing with big players.
And I'm not sitting saying that Bojang is or isn't. Ultimately, we're not going to know until he gets minutes. Yeah. And I just think it's been a strange one that you've got a striker that's been brought in, and he's just sort of sat on the bench for
especially
the
such an
games.
unknown commodity as well. Like,
Yeah.
I'm obviously we've not watched any of them, but like clearly the scouts aren't going to just bring a guy in. But like they've only watched him play in, is it Gambian football?
He did sign after Johnson was appointed,
Yeah.
right? Aye.
Was it Gambian football he was playing, or was he in a different?
Yes, mate.
Yeah.
Aye. But like we need to see him play against Scottish players, because even if he was the best player in the world over there, if it's not a high level, I can't say whether it's a high or low level. Like we need to see him tested.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on from
Yes,
the
right.
Deutsch
So
debacle.
next substitution. Josh Campbell took a dull. Well, actually, no, he took a dull one earlier in the game, and I think he'd be carrying that. And we will come back to that in our John.
So I was going to big up Dylan Tate to replace him.
So Martin Boyle came on, and the whole place got a lift. I can't remember a reception like that at Easter Road, if I'm honest. I did listen to the Long Bangers earlier, and they mentioned John McGinn coming back from injury against Dundee United in the Championship promotion season, and that's probably the closest. Just how good was it to see Martin Boyle back in a Hibs top yesterday, and did it give you guys the same little bit of boost that it seemed to give everyone?
Sorry if it causes any unwanted cringe, but I got chills when he came on, man. Like I knew he was going to get a good reception, but that was mental. Like I've never seen, like I don't think there's been a player in my lifetime that the fans have loved more than Martin Boyle. Like I think he's a universally loved player by all fans, and I think that he absolutely adores the club as well. But yeah, no, it was like a rock star walking out into a concert in front of adoring fans. Like it was incredible. It was my second favourite moment of the day. I thought it was incredible.
Look, I think
Greg, come on, we know you've got a hard man act here.
No, look, see when there's so much hype about a player, and obviously the deal seemed to happen pretty quickly. I think, whenever a player like Martin Boyle comes on the pitch, it's edge of the seat stuff, he gets you excited. And I certainly felt that yesterday, the full atmosphere. And I feel like everyone did get a lift, because at that point I felt like very stagnant in the game. I thought we weren't really doing a lot. But as soon as he comes on, the whole place gets a lift. I think the players would have got a lift for that. And as soon as he gets the ball, you're like go and do something. Because we know he can. He's proved it time and time again for the club that he can do things, he can make things happen. And I think that I think he wasn't long on the pitch, and he knocked it. I can't remember, he knocked it down, but that gives you a lift.
Yeah,
he's going past players. He's getting on the ball. Look, he must have been absolutely knackered. I think he probably had about 15 minutes in him, but thankfully he managed to go all the way to the end. But he definitely gives everyone a boost. Everyone loves him at the club. The fans love him. I think it's a masterstroke for the club, to be honest. You'll now see people buy more season tickets or whatever. Livy's sold out this weekend. So, the Martin Boyle effect is well and truly back.
Simultaneously, look, I can't say that I know if this was because Boyle came off or if they had knocks or not, but Robbie Neilson shat the bed and brought on a centre half and a fullback for a fullback and a winger, and reverted to three at the back. And to be fair, look, I'm not going to. Hearts still had chances, it's not like we were wide open because we all were obviously pushing forward, and Cadden certainly wasn't helped by the fact that he had Boyle in front of him, who had fucking no legs in him. But Hearts definitely, it felt like at that point we're going into let's see this out mode. And
the
probably for the next 10, 15 minutes, they were still fairly comfortable. But then, like you mentioned earlier, Greg, we had Chibraha rattle one across the face of goal. And then really, Harry, in the last 5-10 minutes, we sort of cranked up the pressure a little bit. Let's be honest, without ever really looking like scoring. Like we're talking a couple of headers from cross corners and stuff. We weren't peppering them, but did you see a goal coming maybe with 5-10 minutes to go? We obviously had Deutsch and Rocky with good. I know Rocky was in injury time, but Deutsch had a really good chance for a corner.
I think the main frustration was like it's the exact same as last week. I think we're getting ourselves into very good positions, but just the final ball, like we need to be having more than 3 shots on target in a game where we're getting ourselves in full possession of the ball or with open headers in the box. We should have had about 7 or 8 shots on target yesterday with the chances that we had. And it's just frustrating. Like I think it's one of those things. I think like the game I was thinking about is Hamilton. I think we beat them 5 or 6-0 like a few years back.
Yeah.
Where before that we hadn't scored more than 2 goals in like 15 games or something, and then we just absolutely battered someone. Like I think at some point someone's going to get a doing when we actually hit the switch and start hitting the target. But yeah, no. I felt that like especially now when you watch it back, that Rocky one should have been a goal. It's
I
hitting
think
him in
he's
the nose.
so unlucky though.
I know.
He's off
It's
balance.
just,
like,
aye.
Yeah, I think he's got to be doing better there as well, to be honest. And when that went over, I thought that's it done.
So did Andy Walker. Don't know if you've listened to that back, but I got cleared. Then he went, Hearts have done enough. No. Fucking
No.
Flopper. Aye. Rocky has that chance, 94th minute. Ball. Well, actually, no, let's talk about something before that. Andy Halliday came on in the 89th minute to play on the left-hand side to try and nullify Martin Boyle, and done a fantastic job of doing that. And the new Aussie centre half tried to clean Martin Boyle out and tripped himself up, so that was good. Look, Rocky had a good chance. I think he's unlucky. I think it comes at him quick. He's off balance. But for me, that was like a, how can that not just drop in? Like how many? And do you know what? We're sitting bemoaning luck. Last weekend we got a deflected winner, so it just I think every football fan probably feels the same, and is maybe, but it felt like fuck. It's just this. That's it. And then look, we'll come on to the celebrations, that the Roy of the Rovers storyline. Hibs score a fucking very good goal from a throw-in. Like, well, any other minute in the game, people are talking about how good a goal it is. Never mind how significant it is.
Can I be honest? Why are we not doing that all game? Like, genuinely, it's a quick throw-in.
We get it moving. Hearts are sleeping, aren't they? Let's be honest.
No, but we've shown a wee bit of urgency. 10 minutes before that, we're knocking the ball about like we're 3-0 up. Wee bit of urgency. We get the ball moving. Great touch with Boyle, Euan, and again, he goes round Halkett. He puts Halkett in a very, very difficult position where Halkett cannot dive in.
I thought he was going to take him down. Aye, that's what I thought.
And he's done that, and then he's managed to wrap his foot around it and put it to exactly where Martin Boyle is. Toby Civic, with probably the laziest defender I've ever seen in my life. He makes a big deal about how he loves Hearts and he was never going to come to Hibs. Well, thank fuck. And Martin Boyle pops it through the Baleno Balloon's legs. Simple game, really.
It's a great wee bit of movement for Boyle, isn't it? Just to get ahead of Civic as well, who has absolutely nada clue where he is at any point.
Nah, none of them have a clue where he is. The only one that really has a clue where he is that Royals, who's just tried to take him out the game. But I mean, you look at the position of their back three at that point. Do like that boy's in the box. He's outside the box. Civic's already on his knees, almost as bad as Borna backstick, and Boyle's literally passed it in the net.
And then you've got the Hearts fans going, no, fuck, turn the video off.
So, I mean, that's how to play against Hearts. Quick passing, I feel like we maybe lacked that all afternoon, but then the goal goes in, you don't really care about anything else. It's just...
The goal we scored is what we've tried to do all game.
Yeah.
So Euan's in a similar position to what he'd taken up for his chance in the first half. He's in a similar position to Cadden getting the ball across. He's in a similar position to Chibraha getting the ball across. And Harry, look, Greg's game is a really detailed and accurate description of the goal. Give us your thoughts.
Well, Cadden decides to hone into his inner Lewis Stevenson under Hecky with a gorgeous throw-in. Absolutely adoring that. And then Euan decides... Euan, I thought, was excellent. I think that we've probably got a player there. I thought he was very good all game. I think he's strong, physical, can actually do stuff on the ball, which with a guy of that size It's pretty nice. I think that his dribbling's decent. But him and Boyle, if they link up like that more often, and you know what's great? That Civic ball watching. I loved that. It didn't have a clue where Boyle was. He must have been shocked when the wee squirrel flashed in front of him and poked it in. And I came with the best part. Not even yesterday. Today was when they put on the pitch side image of the goal, and then you can just hear the noise. Like put on the headphones and just turn that full blast. The yas is absolute scenes. I just remember the goal, like at 94th minute, Rocky heads over. Dad gives me a hug. He's like, I'm off, son. Can't do it anymore. Then what do you call it? Obviously, we get the goal. Just before the goal, all I hear is Beck shouting, dive! After, what do you call it, that Halkett tries to bring down Euan. And then the goal hits the back of the net. Craig's dragged me down. I've got back up. Dad's, this is great. I had a great time. I was hugging everybody for about 10 minutes.
Do you know, there was some laddie that he's definitely not a season ticket holder, but I don't even think he was sitting in our game and done the initial celebration and stuff. And I don't know what age he would, I'm guessing he was maybe 16, 17. And we've ended up just fucking taking each other by the shoulders, just fucking shaking each other, man. It's fucking class. Look, I don't give a flying fuck what Robbie Neilson, Michael Stewart, Kenny Miller, fucking Jonathan Sutherland, Chris Boyd.
Kenny Miller's an absolute throbber.
Hibs deserved to not get beat.
Yeah.
That's like, and look, we can talk about Ballon. We had made folks. I had someone say it was on Sports Sound. I think I was at the car saying Hearts had plenty of possession. Hibs had more possession than them.
Hibs had 57%. 12 shots each.
Like we had,
but they dominated.
Like, and look, we've done a lot.
Hibs also had more passes in the opposition half, but Hearts dominated.
And we love
also
XG
had more
and
passing
more
accuracy, but Hearts dominated.
We've done a lot of speaking about how we're going to do and this and that.
I don't know what he's picked that up
what
from.
The fuck is he talking about?
Said a thing.
The only thing
was Ron Gordon saying that this squad should be top four.
No, I reckon it's just because Lee Johnson's his mate. I reckon Lee Johnson's probably been talking shit before the game. That's literally the only logical thing I can think of. If that's not it, then the boy's just an absolute melon.
But just for clarity,
many games as Robbie Neilson won as a player and manager at Easter Road.
Diddly squat.
Same amount of trophies as Craig Levine's won in his career.
Yeah. Howard.
Just for clarity, was it Hibs that I've been speaking about the last 6 months about closing a gap to the old firm? No.
Nope.
Was it?
Do you know what? Right?
Was
I'm
it
going
Hibs
to be honest.
CEO that came out saying
issue.
we were going to try and win the league? No. Was it Hibs backup centre midfielder? No. Yeah, that.
He's right. He is right. But then you don't just start popping off at your rival club because you scored a 95-minute equaliser. You're fuming at the celebrations, but actually you're fuming that you've shat the bed 20 minutes before full time.
Right.
And decide to change it up.
Was it Hibs? I don't know, fourth choice centre midfielder that said he was ready to score a hat trick against Hearts? No, that was their midfielder. I actually thought about this going to the game. It had been quite a low key build up, I thought, for Hibs in the lead up to this derby. I can't even think of fucking Tam McMahon was releasing a really stupid article, like in that sense, son. Like, and I just even there was something. Hibs tweeted something about I want to say showing the new hospitality facilities, and a Hearts fan basically being like, "Won't be this smug. All you have done. You seem confident." Like, I'm like, mate, what are you talking about? Like, and let's be honest. Let's get it right. If we look at our podcast, Harry is delusional, and he only predicted us as third. I'm a bit of a happy clapper. I had us fifth. You had us sixth, and Liam had us seventh. And I know we're not an entire. We don't speak on behalf of the fan bases, but I think that covers a wide spectrum of it. So
and I think after Boyle, my third shout isn't looking too bad, Jed.
Like, I do think that.
Stop speaking about this and that.
I just can't fathom where he was going.
I don't know. And do you know what? He goes on about the celebrations. And
Shankland hit it with that after the game. Oh, you seen what it meant to them to get a point from us. But do you know what, mate? Because, like, it's the second game of the season, our first home game, and we've just literally scored with the last kick of the ball. What do you want us to do? Sit down and fucking applaud with our cardigans on like the day at fucking Tynecastle? No, thank you. Like,
nah, we have to sit in our seat. We've just to have a small clap and go home up the road miserable. Like, what do they expect? Like, these are meant to be people that know football, that understand football. Are you telling me that if Hertz did score a 95-minute equaliser, even away at someone like, I don't know, Livy, they wouldn't be going daft? Like,
it's literally what
it's just
football's
what you
all about.
do. These folk are delusional. See, if having such a big forehead, there's none in London Shankland Sweden if he's coming at
that. Oh, aye, no, do you know what? And I said this to Graham as we're coming at the ground. That goal is huge.
Yeah.
It keeps momentum ticking over. We got what we look because and Graham's it was these are Graham's word, but he went so many fans just look at results. You know, it doesn't. We could have sat here the night and said Hibs deserved a point if we didn't score, and like it just. Greg probably wouldn't have agreed with us. He probably would have told us how shite we were, but so many fans would have been like, "Oh well, that's it." You know, like fuck, Livy next. We're gonna get beat there. Rangers next, right? But that goal keeps the good feeling from a last-minute win of the week before.
Yeah.
And see if we do go to Livy and get a result. As far as I'm concerned, that's been a great start to the season. If you'd have given me 7 points for the opening 3 games, I'd have bit your fucking hand off. I would probably bite your hand off for 7 out of 9, regardless of opposition as us, because like start of the season can be slow generally, like, and that it just keeps a little bit of feel good factor ticking along. You've got the Boyle thing to come, like Greg mentioned earlier. Boyle might bring in some season tickets and stuff, but ultimately it's what you do in the park. 2 last-minute goals. That doesn't happen last season. It certainly it didn't happen under Jack Ross either. And I'm not going to sit and say that Lee Johnson's this master tactician or whatever, but he's had 2 League Cup games were competitive, but he's had 2 league games and his teams have went to the final minute. I'm not sure
how
we
many
could have
times
said
did
that
we
last
ask for
season.
that? We just asked for players to give us everything for the full game. We've done it 2 weeks in a row. We've scored. You know, it is bare minimum stuff, but you've got to be willing to go to the final whistle. You know, after Rocky's chance, going to be like, oh well, it's not a day, but we kept going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the sort of mentality we need. We need to keep going.
It's a bit of quality, isn't it?
How many times do these big successful teams score in the last minute? You know, because you go at the end. You know, of course, it's a concern that we've not managed to score within 90 minutes for 2 weeks. But just as well, the game isn't done 90 minutes bang on. You've extra time, injury time or whatever. So if you go to the end of the game, you give yourself a chance every week.
And what I might do, I might just pitch up at Almond Vale with like 5 minutes to go next week because we all know what's going to happen.
Probably not a bad idea, mate. Just rock up to the hill. Right, look, we've maybe not done that justice, but we're going to move on to less positive things. John Beaton's performance. What I want to say off the bat, right? We spoke about the potential handball.
Just before we come on to that, can I just make another quick point?
Yeah, of course.
People are having a go at the lap of honour. I don't think it's a lap of honour. I think it's players going around showing their appreciation to the fans that have come out on a Sunday at 12 o'clock kickoff, sold out the ground. I think that's just the players going around appreciating the support that they've had. I don't know your guys' opinion on that, but I think Hearts fans are maybe plucking at straws there.
They've always said that though. They've always
yeah.
I might be wrong. Show me a team that if they win at home, didn't walk round sort of all 3 home stands, or like Rangers and Celtic Park, all 4 stands. Like, I'm pretty sure Hearts would have done it at Tynecastle, like on games where, in any fucking game that they've won, I'd be surprised if they didn't.
Because the thing is, like, the Hearts players went and clapped their fans. The only reason they didn't walk around the other 3 stands is because they didn't have fans in any of them. Like, after Derby's bring out the most stupid reactions, like, oh, Hibs fans are celebrating like they won the league. Like, every team when they score a last minute goal celebrates like they win the league. Oh, Hibs are giving their players Hibs players are clapping the fans. I get livid when players didn't go around and clap the fans.
I can't remember who tweeted it. might have been long baggers or something, but they said that should be happening every week regardless of the result, and I
100%.
would absolutely agree. You know, the fans are paying money to go and watch them. You know, at least the players can do is show their appreciation for that. But you know, I think
builds connection as well, doesn't it? Like, you know,
yeah, exactly. You know, it shows that the players aren't just, we got beat today, we'll just go and hide in the tunnel. You know, they'll face up to it. I think fans respect that a lot more. But a lot of the actually stuff on Twitter in the last
you only
24
at the end of
odd
the
hours, but
we're all guilty of it. See, when your team chuck leads like that, and we probably know it better, you clutch at any straw that you can. And there has been a few Hearts fans that have just put a fucking sort of fork in it and went, "What the fuck are you all talking about?" Like, of course we'd be the fucking same. Like, you know what I mean?
You didn't even think about it. You just go daft.
Aye.
You know, you scored a last minute goal. You just go daft. But
Aye.
there we go. Anyway, John Beaton.
Aye, right. What I want to say first, look, we spoke about the handball. I think he would get a pass on that, if I'm honest, especially without VAR. Lawrence Shankland shouldn't have been on that park, as far as I'm concerned. Tackle on Josh Campbell.
Definite booking.
So at least a yellow. At least a yellow. His elbow on Rocky. A yellow.
Yeah, yellow.
He done it twice as well. It wasn't even just
that
one he done.
So they don't end up getting the free kick for
that? No, so there was no free kick when he elbowed him, but Rocky was on the ground and he kicked out at Rocky and held him in the ground, and Beaton gave Hearts a free kick. And I'm at the time I thought Porteous's yellow probably wasn't a yellow. It probably was. It was definitely a foul. But there was just so much in the game where, like, a Hibs player would, and look, of course we're looking at it biased, but like Euan got fucking cleaned out by Halkett with a ball over the top. When Halkett, Harry, you'll know this better. It was like a fucking offensive lineman clearing a line for a fucking running back to run through. There was just no way that he wanted to play the ball. The other centre half was dealing with it. And Hibs have done that a few times, and there was fouls given.
See that moment, I genuinely think, I think the first 10, 15 minutes, I thought there was actually a few niggly fouls that were actually going Hibs' way. And I was thinking, Beaton's having a bit of a shit game, but Hibs are actually getting a few decisions here, so I'm no minding it. But see that moment where he let Halkett away with that, and then they nearly went up and scored. I genuinely think that was a momentum switch, and he just gave Hearts everything after that. We never got a decision for the rest of the game. It was horrendous.
I think Porteous was not on his face, but he was speaking to him about that decision, or it was another one. Then 2 minutes later,
he was speaking to him about.
And 2 minutes later, Porteous got booked. It was like it was you're questioning my decision, so I'm going to book you for your next foul. And you know, it'd been about I'll tell you right now when Porteous got booked. I'm sure it'll be on Sky Sports, but I'm guessing it had been about half an hour into the game, and it was like, there's been too many fouls. I'm just going to book you.
George Grant had two in the space of 10 minutes, I think, when he was late.
George Grant was playing.
Was that the boy that claimed he was scoring a hat trick?
No, that was Halliday, mate.
Oh, was it? Oh well. Yeah, George Grant's a joker. Then Cabrazzo was booked in the second half for winning the ball. Madness. He's clearly won the ball. It's not even close. Gets booked. So yeah.
I think John Beaton was scared that football was going to break out yesterday. Because Jay and Liam predicted it could have been a high scoring game last week, and again, this was Graham that I got the games with. He said if it wasn't for John Beaton there, you could have been looking at a classic derby. And both teams created chances. Both teams, let's be honest, look wide open. Hearts weren't great at the back. We weren't great at the back, and the things he lets go against the things he pulls up.
Yeah, there's no consistency.
I didn't like refs that are card happy, but there's got to be some consistency to just number of fouls against number of bookings. It just doesn't add up. Hearts didn't get a play book. Oh no, Haring got booked fucking late on for a tug on Boyle, and I think that might have been it. And I just thought he was absolute. Only Robbie Neilson had a worse day than John Beaton yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just madness. I mean, it says on Sky Sports, Hibs won 18 fouls, Hearts won 13. Hibs get 3 players booked, Hearts get 1 player booked.
No, that means that Hibs made 18 fouls and they made 13 fouls.
Nah. That's
Because
Sky only fill in one stat. Stat is that Hearts gave away more fouls than us.
Oh, did they?
And got less players booked. So where's the consistency then?
Rats.
For me, I mean, George Grant had 2 in 10 minutes, as I say, but he didn't really want to come down hard on that. But it's just that's what it is.
There's a couple of. Speaking of negative things, I think there's three fan things that I'd like to address. First of all, actually, a positive fan thing. I thought the display looked good. It's simple but effective. Fair play. I think that despite the megaphone, which I think needs bumped, I thought that the Block 7 done pretty good at keeping the atmosphere going, despite the fact we were behind. However, the 3 gripes I've got is as much as we didn't like him and as much as he's a wee dick, shouldn't really be throwing lighters. I think throwing chips was pretty funny. Throwing the lighters can't really be doing that.
Harry was right. Hibs did commit more fouls and Hearts. It was that way.
Still,
though, it's
not a big gap.
I was making points.
I know.
I saw someone threw a bottle as well. That's really bad. So probably didn't do that in future. I know, like, you guys have to talk about it, but I thought as a podcast and we've got a voice, we should probably say when fans are doing things wrong. Secondly, the pitch invasion. I know for the most part it's kind of young boys just being a bit exuberant.
There was a couple that like grown.
Yeah. Didn't he do that? Didn't he bring signs to the game as well, asking for shirts? Kind of put them in the same category.
I get that to fucking off.
Okay. Yeah. But the main thing.
The pitch invasion. I draw the line at signs at the game.
Like if I...
but honestly, the main thing, and I was pretty disappointed that the pundits weren't speaking about it as well. A few times Hibs players were trying to get things going quite quickly, and the fans kept throwing the fucking ball on the pitch. If you've got the ball in your hands, wait until a Hearts player's on the ball on the pitch. Don't just throw it back on when Hibs are trying to get things going. It genuinely happened 3 times at the East Stand, and I was livid.
Yeah, Kim was actually quite funny. I might be wrong here, but Hearts have a song lyric that's "We hate the Hibs, they make us spew up."
Yeah.
What in the fucking hell is that? How did that get through that Twitter account?
That's been their song for ages. What's it? I think the next thing the Gorgie boys are going to Europe or something. It's it's really shit.
We hate Hibs, they make us spew up. Fuck me. That is mouthing. That's what someone in fucking nursery would say.
And boys, if you like fish, you don't have to worry about eating for the next week, because I've got a bunch of fish caught on Twitter yesterday. Oh my days, they were chomping at the bit for me.
Oh dear. Right, anyway. We spoke about him enough, but Martin Boyle coming back. How big is this to the club and to the team and the squad and our prospects of the season? Harry, you sort of said tongue in cheek there that your third place prediction looks a lot more promising now. Just how much more promising does it look with one player?
I think realistically, I had Hibs finishing anywhere between third and 7th. I think that we were far too good to be finishing any less than that, but I'm aware of the fact that there's a few teams that are looking a bit stronger than last year. But I think that I would be very disappointed now if we finished lower than 5th. I think that we're surefire to be competing for Aberdeen and Hearts. I think outside of the Old Firm, I think that's the 3 best teams in the country. I think Dundee United don't have the attack to compete, especially now that we've got Boyle. And I think that game at the weekend there shows that even though Boyle was all right, he looked like he hadn't played or kicked a ball in about 3 months. I think, and he can still produce that bit of magic at the end. I think that it's massive for Hibs.
We spoke about chances. We never even spoke about the one when he got played in over the top,
which was offside. Cough, cough.
So,
I but I think that he'll single-handedly get us, like the same way that Gordon won Hearts points on his own last year. I think that he'll win Hibs points on his own this year, and I think that we're surefire for Europe, in my opinion.
I wouldn't say single-handedly, to be honest.
No.
I think David Marshall's got a big part to play in that as well. He's worth about 10-15 points this season. And I think Boyle and Euan will link up well, so I think Euan will chip in with goals and assists as well. And look, if we can get McGuinness back fit as well, that adds goals for midfield. If we can, get things moving in the final third, then it won't be single-handedly. I think it will be obviously a part with Boyle, but if we can get everything moving, in the final third, players for midfield chipping in with goals, and I think we'll be absolutely fine.
So, my next question was going to be, what do we still need in the squad? But I'm going to just put this to you just now. I'm putting McGuinness just down as a central midfielder, all right, just so his name won't be mentioned here. But if we look at players that we think will sort of exclusively operate in the final third that are in the squad currently, obviously fit or unfit, Henderson, McGeady, Tavares, Boyle, Nisbet, Euan, Deutsch, Melkerson, and Bojang.
Yep.
And Dimitri Mitchell probably, I'm assuming, is likely going to be a winger as opposed to a fullback.
Would agree.
If we can at any point this season get close to having all the options available, you'd like to think we're going to be quite a potent threat in the final third, especially with that direct pace of Martin Boyle adding that little bit new to the mix. And do you know something that sort of hit me today? See that sense of feeling around Martin Boyle coming back to the club, and you know, and I'm not going to compare. I'm not saying that the next two will have the same impact as him, but see if and when Nisbet and McGuinness come back as well, that could be equally as huge. And I hope that as fans we get right fucking behind them as well to give them such a big boost, because Nisbet's been really vocal on his sort of social media about Boyle being back in that. These players will have seen the support that they can get. And I don't believe for 1 second that any player wouldn't play better if they have that entire feeling behind them. Yeah. And Nisbet and McGuinness are comfortably two of the best players in this league. And see when they come back, I think, and look, we don't know when it's going to be. And we don't know when McGeady's going to be back. And we still aren't sure about some of the newer signings. There is a lot of options in that final third now.
Yeah.
It's crazy how
I would agree. I would agree, though. I think that, look, McGuinness definitely chips in the goals. We know that. Nisbet is a great striker. We know that. We know that Euan Henderson can link play. We know that Melkerson can score goals and be a threat. We just need everything to come together. We know that Euan can cause big problems for defences. Once that all comes together, I think we could be, without getting too ahead of ourselves, we could be extremely, extremely potent up front. So, okay, it's exciting, but we do need to be patient on two fronts. We need to be patient with the guys to come back, and we also need to be patient with the new guys that we've signed, because they ultimately deserve time, and we need to allow them that. But I definitely think we're in the right direction. We've got a lot of good options up front. We've got a lot of different style players as well up front, so we can change it up when and whenever we see fit. But no, I'm definitely feeling a lot more positive. Obviously, I think the two results maybe paper over some cracks, but ultimately, I think we are in a decent position. Yeah, look, do you know what? Lee Johnson's been in the door a couple of months now. He deserves time. The club deserves time to get it right under a new regime. You know, we do need to be patient.
Yeah, right. I was going to ask you what we need from the, if you could have one more signing, because Boyle tried to dominate last week or so, but I'm pretty sure we'll end up answering this in our listener questions that have been sent in to us from Twitter. Let's make this as quick fire as possible, light-hearted if you want, or proper answers. I'm just going to scroll down them and let's get through as many of them as possible. Right, Euan Craig, how many people does it take to be classed as a pitch invasion?
4.
Over 1,000.
Right, okay. Scott Craig, do we need one or two new midfielders? Probs depends on McGuinness, because we have a serious lack of quality in the middle of the pitch. I'm going with probably one more. I would like to see, because I would love to see Dylan Tate get a chance.
Sorry, thank you.
Josh Campbell getting injured could be good for Dylan Tate. Obviously, don't know when McGuinness is due back, but I don't want a 6-month loan. I would want someone permanently. That might not
be the right
happen.
player.
Yeah, that might not happen, because ultimately I don't think they really want to come to the club if they were just going to be sitting on the bench. That's why I think the Del Ferry going on loan is a bit strange, but yeah.
So if you're pushed for midfield, would you want 1, 2, or just the right player?
Try have a centre half, to be honest.
Me too as well. Harry, central midfield. Well, he says 2 new midfielders, but I'm assuming he means in the central areas.
No. We don't need a new centre midfielder. We need Kyle McGuinness back fit, and we need another centre half. Agree with Greg.
Cool. Cannon Hannon, we knew when we seen who the ref was, we were going to get nothing from him. Do we need to start openly questioning referee displays? Hibs gave away 13 free kicks, 3 players booked. He's got Hearts has given away 21, 1 booked. Shankland, for instance, and Selk had easily been booked 3 times. I think we've ran through that. I'll be honest, I don't think John Beaton's a cheat. I just think Paul McGinn got it spot on. He's incompetent.
I think we should get Paul McGinn call him incompetent every time he is, because who cares if he gets.
But see if he is biased again. I was going to say if he is biased, then fuck off to fucking Fir Park, man.
He isn't biased. He's just a really shit ref.
Yep, agreed.
Ryan Melville, just how much of a complete bellend is Robbie Neilson? Let's do that on a scale of 1 to 77.
Hey, 69. Way!
Oh,
nah, I'll give 77. He's a complete bellend. Utterly.
Yeah, I'd probably go 80. Brushes his hair with toffee apples.
I've seen that. Aye, 77 for me and all. Right, Stephen Bell. Thought we were torn to bits down both flanks yesterday and we're often exposed 2-on-1 in the left and right back areas. Do you see Lee Johnson sticking with the 4-3-3 or do you think he'll be forced to change something after Hearts exposed that weakness? For me, I think we're going to see 4-2-3-1 the majority of the season. Yes, they've definitely felt more like, 4-3-3, 4-1-4-1, whatever you want to call it. I think yesterday you've seen what you're going to get when you've got Melkerson and Henderson in the wide areas. And as much as I hate them, Hearts had a good team as well with 3 or 4 very capable players in the final third. A little bit more organisation, I think we'll be fine.
I don't think we're really that. I don't think we're stretched in the left at all. Overly, I thought we're stretched in the right because Cannon's position was shocking, but yeah, might just be one of the games.
I was going to say we didn't touch on it during the game, but I don't think Cadden's, as Euan touched on at the start of the season, is cut out to be. I think he's a good enough player for Hibs. I don't think he's good enough at right back. I think that Miller hopefully will start getting more game time moving forward as he's more natural in that position. I just don't think Cadden's got defensive capabilities of dealing with strong wingers in this league.
Mason Forrest, how crucial do you think Lee Johnson's subs were to affect the game to get back to 1-1? Look, well, yeah, very. He brought someone on and he scored a goal. But one thing I'll say about Lee Johnson, over the 2 games, he's not scared to make changes that, on the face of it, at least appear to be very positive. He's not. I know he spoke about, I think, we might take a tanking and stuff this season. I generally get the impression that he would rather lose 3-0 chasing the game than 1-0 and half-arsing it.
Wouldn't we all?
Exactly.
Jake Doyle-Hayes has been on for about a combined 12 minutes and we scored 2 goals. Get him started.
I actually would have. I would have liked to see Jake Doyle-Hayes on both games a little bit earlier for Kenna. I think Kenna serves a purpose, but when we're chasing a game, I would definitely have Jake Doyle-Hayes on before him. Just the range of passing's better, isn't it?
Jake Doyle-Hayes put a couple of good balls in the box as well.
Yep. Right, Sean Steele back again. Greg, none of these are directed at you though, so he's maybe gone off you a bit. Right, 2 questions. I think on yesterday's performance, Euan should be the first attacker on the team sheet. Do we agree? We'll tackle that one first. No, I don't. It was good. Boyle will, when fully fit, be comfortably the first name on the team sheet. But no, definitely promising signs.
I would like to say Liam Up Yours, who's not on the pod this week, for hating the expression first name on the team sheet. I'd say it was second name on the team sheet in terms of attacking areas at the moment.
Okay, and second question from Sean. I was expecting a lot from Chibraha, and I thought he was terribly average. Do you agree? Sean, we won't accept such questions, and we're not asking any of yours again.
It was slightly above average.
I don't think he was terribly average, to be honest. I think it was just... He wasn't. I felt like we were far. He
definitely wasn't as influential. Yeah.
We weren't really getting the ball out left as much, but it's difficult, isn't it? Like, it's his first derby. Give him a break.
I'd give him a 6.5, so he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great.
I'd give him a 7.
Yeah.
6.5. That was smashing Michael Smith.
Harry, I'm going to direct this question solely at you, Greg. I'm pretty sure I know what your answer is, but 100% know what Harry's answer is going to be here. Gav Dick asked us, do you think we should go in for Stefan Omionga? Personally, I think we should.
Personally, I think that you should consider asking better questions. No, I'm only joking. Stefan Omiyonga's nowhere near good enough for Hibs, so no, we should not be going in for him.
I agree, that's been and gone. Second loan spell was Tatis. I know.
Yeah, just because he can play the piano doesn't mean he's a good midfielder.
Just because he has one good game at Easter Road and bloody guys can mug off another podcast doesn't he make him a good player?
He's been good for Livingston, but I do think in a team that we're coming to play Livingston, and I do think it's a disservice that some of the media give them. I do actually think Livingston play a bit better football than people give them credit, but that system for me definitely suits Omiyonga, where industry and it's just hard work get you a long way. Which, to be fair, in this league it does, but no, not a player I'd like to see Hibs go for. Nope. Right. Dav Williamson, sorry, who I believe was the one that said he had a little bit of stage fright and didn't come up and speak to us at St Johnson. So hopefully, if you see us at Livy, you will just come and say hi. We're all right. But hearing a bit of chat, Melkerson's future now Boyle's back. What do you think about the depth of our forward options and who should be moved on or brought in to correct this? I think we've got great options. I would not expect anyone to be moved on to correct it. No, I think we've got options. I think if everyone's fully fit, then yeah, do you know what? It will mean that people aren't probably in match day squads, but it's not a bad place to be in. Melkerson's future, I wouldn't be shocked to see a front three of Melkerson, Euan, and Boyle, and it'd be very, very interchangeable. I don't think it'll be this weekend, but I think it might well be something we see in the not too distant future.
Competition for places is not a bad thing at all. Brings out the best in people, or should bring out the best in people.
And Lee Johnson's favourite Hibs podcast is Down the Slope, so he kens that Melkerson's going to be the top goal scorer this season. I've completely made that up, but it's true. And my predictions are all coming true. Up the milk.
Jamie Robertson, could David Marshall end up being the best keeper we've had since Jim Leighton? I think there's a high possibility of that.
Yeah. So not already that after I was going to say celebration yesterday.
He's competing with Rocky, really, isn't he?
The benchmark's Conrad Logan, so he's got a ways to go.
And he's got on the celebration scales as well.
Yeah, very good.
He's maybe got a bit further to go as well. But right, Disco Stew, this was maybe more in a response to another question that we had in, but I thought it was worth mentioning. Met my sensible Jambo mate for a few pints after the game. He said he couldn't lie. The match day experience in the big screens pre-match and during the game is pretty impressive, unlike their ramshackle effort. I think Hearts might have screens in these days, or they're getting them, but
they've just got those wee things in the corner that you can see the time on.
They are getting them though. They're getting. Oh, do you know what it is? They'll get them soon because I think they're getting hand-me-downs from the Commonwealth Games. I'm sure I've seen that they'd applied for it anyway. But Tynecastle's a shithole. Dave Graham, should Hibs stop showing off before games just to keep Neilson happy? Well, probably.
I think we should ask him first and clear things by him. And if we're allowed to, I don't know, clap.
Well, do you know what? See, when Adam in that clip up the pre-game, sort of the pre-game interviews and stuff, they should just send them over to Robbie Neilson first, just to make sure.
Is this suitable?
Look, Robbie, is this all right? Because we didn't want to tread on your toes of talking a lot of shite. So if you could just give us the okay, make sure we're not repeating ourselves, and then we'll pop it out.
You can what as well? I think we should ask Robbie if he's really sad that he's never had a win at Easter Road and if he would like one. Then we should say, get it up, yeah!
See, right, I do love that stat, but I'm not going down that road currently with our recent derby record, as much as yesterday was fucking fantastic. And for what it's worth, I do sort of wish the Sky interviewer had probed back and went, so what have Hibs been saying? But that probably wouldn't have been the best idea in the tone of a post-game interview, but I would love to know what it was. You know, I would love that. I would love, because you know what? See if you could come out with an example.
Prove it.
Fair enough. But screams at a manager that's insecure. All right. This is from Jem Fat. Are you confident with Rocky being the starting centre back alongside Porteous? And then there was actually follow-up questions. Are we confident of Porteous being the partner to Rocky? Do you know, I don't think either of them were fantastic yesterday. I don't think they'd be fine this season, but I'd still like to see someone else come in. But for me, it's a starter. It's like what Greg said about centre midfield. I don't want us to sign someone just as an option. I'd only want us to go out and get someone that we thought was capable of coming in and playing ahead of them.
And adding value.
I'm just concerned. The main concern for me is that neither of them look comfortable on the left side. I'm assuming Rocky's not comfortable on the left side, hence why he's not.
He's hardly comfortable on the right side with the ball at his feet. So I don't mean that. I don't mean that in a like he's not the when he's got the time and. Do you know what? I'm maybe doing him a bit of disservice there. Actually, he's done
got better
right.
this season anyway. One thing on Porteous, so if we want to give him a positive, he was fucking mammoth at corners yesterday. He was winning every single cross that went in. He was getting rid of.
Aye, but he didn't win fucking anything in open play. I thought he won everything in both corners for set pieces, but during the game, I just didn't. I thought Porteous got a knock. I thought he got a knock last week, and Graham, I was with the game. He said that Porteous actually signalled last weekend that he needed to come off, and didn't he? And I thought he took a knock really early on yesterday, but maybe that's just making excuses for him. Jeff Ashton, I don't like slagging referees off usually, but the inconsistency of beating yesterday was infuriating. This is without the luxury of watching the game back on TV. I could see it with my own eyes at the game. Shankland should have had at least a yellow for the tackle on Campbell. Yes. Aye.
Good point, well made, Jeff.
Aye.
Yep.
Laura LJ, do you think Euan and Boyle will be the partnership we need this season? Here's fucking hoping.
Agreed.
Would agree.
Joey Laidlaw, we're fucking hell, there's a lot. Will Ellie Euan be one of the best strikers in Scotland this season? I'm going to say no, because I think he's going to eventually play more in the wider areas, and Kevin Nisbet will be the central striker when fit. What about you two?
I think he's already the best striker in Europe, so he will be in Scotland.
He's one of the best young strikers in Europe, and we're going to pop him off to Kelly in 2 weeks' time.
Oh no!
I think he's got potential to make a difference in terms of the best in the country. Probably not.
Okay. Right, next question. This is maybe going to replace our down the shops because we're not going to have that this week because we have been ranting on for a while. But John McCready, what time do you have your tea? Now, I'm assuming he means dinner here.
That's what tea means.
Better be dinner.
And I'm anywhere between sort of 5:30 and 7, but usually about 6ish would be my go-to.
I'm usually about 5:30, to be honest.
Aye.
When I was at high school, I used to get it like Mum used to have it on the table like straight after school. So I used to be like a 4:30 dinner. But nowadays, and then I would always have it about like between 5 and 5:30. But now, like just because I normally go into work and I'll not get my dinner until about 7:30, 8. It's weird. I didn't like it. I want to go back to earlier times.
That's the big city life, that mate, isn't it? That's what that is. I like to about 6ish. Any time between 5 and 6 feels right to me. Obviously, if you're in the office, then it's a bit later.
Was it John that asked that? John, let us know when you have your dinner, mate. I want to hear your thoughts.
Callum CMA, should we all have macaroni and chips a pre-match meal?
As long as we're not throwing them on the pitch and we actually do.
I wouldn't say not to a portion of macaroni, cheese and chips.
Yeah.
If they were loaded,
chuck a wee bit of garlic bread in there as well.
Aye. Who does the cooking in the Boyle household, Martin or Rachel?
Rachel. In fact, the microwave.
There's something scary about thinking of Martin Boyle cooking, eh?
Yeah.
Right, Mike Murphy, does Christian Deutsch have a future at the club now? I know we were critical earlier. Yes, he has a future. He's got a contract.
No.
He's under contract, but the future that maybe Christian Deutsch wants at the club, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that he's got a future, to be honest.
I think
unless he can really buck up his ideas.
He's bought himself time with the Clyde performance, but it's a new regime and the manager clearly wants his own players to make a stamp. So if he's not impressed in his next 5 to 10 appearances, I wouldn't be surprised to see him gone by January. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I think realistically Lee Johnson's not got time for Deadwood, and at the moment that's what he looks like.
Right. John McIntosh sends us something in every week. I'd love to know where John's from because he's got an American flag, a Welsh flag, and I think...
Is it Barbados?
No, I think it's either Egypt or Iran.
I'm good at flags. I'll be a second.
thoughts on Euan Cameron, and let's use the Robbie Neilson meter of 1 to 77. How much of an absolute dickhead is he? And I'm going to say about 70 because I think he's a fucking melt. But fair play to him for owning. I think the bet that he made with the Hibs guys. He's held it. He's done his part on it, and he seems to. He's an arse, but at least
he's an absolute ticket, to be honest.
Yeah, he's cringy, but you can at least he's like he's up for the pat on that, so he's harmless. He's annoying but harmless.
High B till I die. I think it's Robert Scott. Is it time to give Tate a few games in midfield?
Yes.
Probably, but I the only thing I can't help but feel there's a reason that he's not even in the squads. That's my one thing. But if Campbell's injury is significant, then he might get bumped onto the bench, and then who knows. And last two questions. Do we still need a new centre back and central midfielder? That's from Jaden.
New centre half.
Probably would definitely like a new centre half, but it has to be the right players. If I'm honest, if I'm being totally honest, if we went through to January with the squad we have now, I think we'd be all right. Especially, I'd like to think we'll have at least 2 or 3, like Greg, cover your ears, but you'd like to think Hanlon will probably be close to fully fitness. Mitchell hopefully be back to being, because I think Lee Johnson did say it was just a sort of tweak that he had. Hopefully McGuinness and Nisbet are kicking about. McGeady maybe, the squad is getting kind of saturated, so it would have to be quality players, I think, that we brought in. And Lee Johnson did say 1 or 2, I think, post game yesterday, but I wouldn't be hanging my hat. Like, I'm not here thinking we're definitely going to bring them in.
For me, I'd rather have 2 centre backs as opposed to a centre back and centre mid.
Okay. And we're going to finish up on, and this has been by total accident, by the way, it wasn't even meant, but is Martin Boyle the single greatest football player to ever live, or should he stop asking silly questions? And I think we can all agree in saying, James, stop asking stupid questions, because you know the fucking answer to that is yes.
What James was that?
James Kinneberg 3. LG and Cow 456 Hibs fan. That's what it is. Maybe James, could you maybe just make your Twitter name a little bit easier to read, just for purposes of reading? But yes.
And James, tweet at us and answer the question: do we look happy?
And this is me happy.
Right, let's wrap this shit up. Livingston next week, Saturday. Sold out our initial allocation, which I'm assuming is the 4 or 5 sections sort of along the sideline. There's been additional tickets opened up since. Changes to the starting 11 and score prediction, just very quickly, lads. I'd be looking at getting Euan Henderson back into the middle of the park, but I probably wouldn't bring Boyle straight in. So I don't know how that does. I don't think it's right to start Boyle.
I'd maybe bring Jake Doherty or Dylan Tate in for Campbell and leave it as is. I think Boyle's quite ready to start yet.
I wouldn't hate seeing either Newell or Henderson dropped, just to show that you can't have bad performances and not be untouchable. Because I think Newell had an alright second half, but I think that Henderson's whole performance just wasn't good enough. And I think he's a very good player, but he needs to be shown that he's, even though at the moment he is probably one of the first names on the team sheet, that he can be dropped if he is poor. Because I just think his performance was unacceptable.
Who would you like to come in?
I'd like to see Doyle Hayes start. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't.
Okay. And I'm just going to pipe in here as a wee side note, something that I've literally just seen on Twitter as we've been recording. You might have already seen it, but in today's evening news, it says Hibs plan to reveal details of Boyle's transfer back to the club in due course. As expected, the deal will go down as the club's highest ever transfer fee paid for a player, which is currently £700,000 for Ulysses De La Cruz in 2001. So I'm assuming that's more of a, we've written off X amount with the Saudis. But look, the club, Ron Gordon and co have had a difficult summer. But for me, since Ron Gordon's come in, whether you can criticise the recruitment as much as you want, that's everyone's opinion. you can't criticise the level of backing that managers have received in terms of transfer funds. Maybe in individual windows, but over the piece, Sean Maloney got plenty of players in January. Lee Johnson's had money to spend on players, and Jack Ross had money spent on the likes of Kevin Nisbet and Kyle McGuinness. So Ron Gordon has put his hand in his pocket, I think, and let's hope that a pretty solid start to the season continues at Livingston. And what will we be predicting? Will the good momentum be continuing, Greg?
I'll go for 2-1 to Hibs. I think we'll manage to score within 90 minutes.
Twice? Or is it another late winner?
I think another late winner, mate.
Harry?
I'll go 1-0 because I don't think we've got our shooting boots, but I think we'll, on a narrow pitch, I think we'll defend a bit better.
Aye. I'd love to say that Hibs are going to go out there, long Demi, and rip Livy apart, but you've seen in the first 45 minutes against Rangers, they stifled them pretty easily. And obviously they're off the back of a good win up at Dundee United. But I am going to go for 4-0 Hibs because we're going to rip them to shreds and we're going to find our shooting boots.
Well, I would love very much for that to happen. But I hope you don't mind me jumping in. Just one other rumour that I've seen in the newspapers today. And it's just a yes or no question. Mikey Johnson on loan.
Yes.
We've spoke about this privately, yes, but injuries are a huge concern for me.
I don't really think it adds anything that we've not really got since we got Boyle in. But anyway, I don't know why I've taken over at this point, but screw you, Euan. I'll wrap us up here.
Right.
We pumped Hearts and somehow only came away with a draw. But we come up against Livingston next. But thank you very much, by the way. We're all very appreciative of the fact that we've got loads of questions coming in. It is mental, considering that we only started just over a year ago.
Oh, right, we get it. It's 2 years. 2 years.
It's over 2 years ago, and now we're getting about 20 questions in, which is absolutely magic. So thanks, everybody, very much for listening. And we will catch you next time.
Cheers.
That's our job, Harry. Thanks.